prayer is a soul's sincere desire, uttered or unexpressed, the motion of a hidden fire that trembles in the breast. And these are the words I grew up listening to my grandmother repeating.
Hello, Jalapeno listeners. Welcome back to the show. It's been a while. Happy to be back on the airwaves, this time with my friend Chef Deon Thomas of Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. Deon came to the Vineyard in the year 2000 by way of Anguilla in Long Island, USA, and he's had 4 restaurants on the island over the years. Now focused on just one, Deon's Kitchen at the VFW in Oak Bluffs. He's a full-service caterer as well, weddings, private events, family gatherings, personal cooking experiences. He's a father, a husband. He is a great guy, a steady example of what a distinct personality and generous contributor can add to a community in terms of quality and distinction and character. A diligent worker, rarely taking a day off, and all around the man. So please enjoy this conversation with Chef Deon.
Testing.
Yeah.
Testing 1, 2, 3. This is Chef Deon. Good morning.
Good morning, Chef Deon. How's your day going?
So far, so good.
Yeah. So far, so good.
8 o'clock, and we're on spot, and we're doing it. They said the early bird catches the most worms. So, hey. They catch the most worms, man. You do it earlier, you're in the vibe.
I believe it. Here we are at the famous VFW post. What post?
9261.
9261 Oak Bluffs, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And this is where you have...
This is where good things happen, man.
This is where you have your restaurant, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
Well, I came on board maybe about 14 to 15 years ago after Circuit Avenue went down, and I needed a home. And the VFW was happy. They're like, come on, do something. So I started out catering, and I didn't have, and then when the catering season ends, I went back to the bosses, and I said to the board, and I said, listen, you think I could serve some burgers? And they're like, certainly, go ahead. So I'm like, and I extended. I kept doing it, and little by little, I, put some exciting dishes on, and, and people kept asking for more. And we're like, well, I really don't want to mess with the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It is, I'm not going to do, I tried not to do a fine dining thing to, intimidate anyone. I want all, no tablecloth, no maitre d', just good food on paper plate. And,
Great food on paper plates.
Great food on paper plates.
And how would you describe the cuisine now?
Well, I do a New American Caribbean, cuisine. While I keep the Caribbean undertones, I have to remember where I'm at.
I see.
So I gotta use that to my advantage to offer a little of the ethnic flavors, but still maintaining the classic American mainstays. Your prime rib alongside your curry goat. So my restaurant now, it's, as I said, it's no fluff, straight up, no chaser, and I just keep it. I do some things, a few ethnic dishes, and mixed with the New American thing. So you'll come in a given day, you may have halibut and swordfish alongside lamb and duck and, your prime rib, your steak and potato. Yeah. And then there's the curry chicken and the jerk chicken and the, and the oxtail and the conch.
Right. So VFW, Chef Deon's Kitchen, Oak Bluffs, Mass. If you're in town, come on by. And Deon, tell us about you. Where are you from?
Yeah, I was born in Jamaica. And grew up and cut my teeth, so to speak, in the kitchen. Didn't know that I was going to become a chef, but had to do. I was at the right age, the right time with your grandparents, doing, you couldn't say no. the older siblings had vacated the nest, and so the kitchen chores fell on me. The younger ones were too young. I was at the right age. So I used to say I'm sorry that I didn't learn more, but when you're a child, you don't know, you just kept doing it. And then lo and behold, it just grew on me. I stayed in the kitchen and,
So you started as a kid, as a
I
younger
started
sibling.
a younger sibling, learning, and then I think what really hit home was me going to a local state fair, and I made a drink and I won. I got the gold award, and I'm like, okay, this thing could, So
What did you make?
I actually did a drink with all I guess it's a fruit punch, but I didn't know at the time. I took all the fresh organic berries and fruits that we have growing there that was available to us, and I crafted a drink, and lo and behold, that was the winner, man.
Yeah, early signs of greatness.
Yeah, the judges like it, and the judges really liked it, and so it just continued. Then I got engaged in a food program in Kingston, and I went into the hotel.
How old were you?
As a trainee. So I think they would send us. So I went to Saunders Catering. It was a catering school. I was about 15.
This is in Jamaica.
In Jamaica.
Yeah.
And then they had the work pro. They wanted when it comes on to the holidays, they'll get kids for bussers. The little boys, going through the dining room, picking up the stuff, and so I was one of those, and then I just hung up. I was going into this kitchen. It's the first time I'm seeing, a walk-in box. First time I'm seeing all of these big equipment and the steam and the men, and I'm like, whoa. The only place I saw men cooking was really the Love Boat, where the chefs said, I've never seen any men. Cooking was a woman's thing, Yeah. To me as a child. My grandmother cooked, and my mom and other mothers in the community, and I didn't really see men cooking.
Yeah.
And so it just stayed on me, and I acted the part. I jumped in. I was a skinny kid. I did favors. They want lemons, limes. You got to run down there, come up there, and then they're like. So after the program ended, they say, why don't we keep this one? He shows some interest there. So that's basically what happened.
Yeah. And what did you like about it early on? What drew you to it?
What, the cooking?
Yeah.
Well, it was different because now I'm out of the family setting. No, I got introduced to pasta. We never see that in Jamaica. Outside of the hotels. The hotels had the fine dining restaurants within the walls, within the confines of the hotel. So, but apart from that, no, you didn't see a French restaurant or an Italian restaurant. You had to go to the hotels. So going in that environment, just my eyes just opened, and I'm like, I learned to make the pasta. I really learned in those early years to cook real Italian dishes before I came to America to know about that kind of service. I did the French cooking, and I did the cuisine, and I did the Italian cuisine, and
So going into the cooking and going through the schooling, it opened you up to new cultures and new styles and new variety.
Right. And so I did that for years, moonlighting, teaching in the cooking in the hotel, and teaching Culinary Institute the young culinary skills, home economics to younger kids. So the Listomere Gilbert School for the Deaf. I was, at that time I was very fluent in sign language.
So you went to school in Kingston. That's where you cut your teeth, you say, cooking. And then when did you come to the States?
And then while I was working in the hotel, you had, I guess you had scouts who would come and recruit people to work in these areas, in the Hamptons or in Vale or, Martha's Vineyard or wherever you had you required seasonal workers. Mm-hmm. And so I was fortunate to accept a proposal to go to Long Island. And man, I ended up in Montauk. Have you ever been to Montauk?
Once.
East Hampton?
Once.
Yeah. Man, I ended up in Montauk, this quaint, fishing village. And and a quite contrast from. I guess it has changed now. I lived in the Hamptons for 15 years,
Wow.
and I saw that at that time, you're talking about if they are in Montauk, if there are 15 or 20 restaurants, I might have this is how it was. I might have worked in 12,
Wow.
10, 12.
This is in the 90s?
This is in late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
Okay.
I might have cooked in, because you try to do breakfast here. You get a breakfast shift, you leave, you pick up, and then. So the issue was, the idea was to make as much money, and for some guys, as for the season is short. But then, and that was the intent. And like all these folks coming in are doing 2 or 3 jobs, make as much money as you can. Well, that's sort of the first year, that was the goal. But then I met this Egyptian chef, and it was a seafood restaurant. It's a Crow's Nest in Montauk. And then I met this other chef, Michael Garfunkel, an American chef, at the yacht club. And those chefs were buddies. And so, I don't have to go far, The yacht club was a more fine dining, the Metro D's more, quote unquote, Edgar Townish, while the seafood restaurant, even though it's fine dining, but it's the traditional, Nancy's restaurant down the road,
Yeah.
And so the high volume turnover, man, it's the first time I'm seeing, I got introduced to we had oysters in Jamaica. Back then. We would cultivate, but not like the oysters here. And the mussels and the steamers and we had crabs, but not the soft shell crabs.
Yeah.
So all of that seafood, the limpets,
Yeah.
the razor clams, the little necks. So I learned there. I honed my skills in shucking and all that stuff. And and people look at me now and they're like, "How did he?" And I'm like, "Listen, I've had my share of nips from the shells, from the oyster getting stuck with the knives. I've had my share. It all happens to us."
So 15 years in Long Island and Montauk, and then you came to the Vineyard 20 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're always exposing yourself to as much work as you could get, and then through that work you're learning about new cuisines, new cultures, meeting people, and then you come here and tell us about having your restaurant here. What is it like on Martha's Vineyard?
It is Martha's Vineyard is it's a different atmosphere. When I came as a visitor the first time and looked, and I'm like, whoa. It wasn't East Hampton and the Amagansett that you drive through that I'm like, oh man, this is really laid back. You're like, whoa, nothing manicured, nothing, it's just pure and it's just in its essence, it's just there. It's Martha's. And I'm like, okay. I guess the New England folks don't, they're not crazy about their gardens and, the fence being too white and it's, yeah. But I must say this, I ended up, so while working in my last stunt in Long Island, I went to work for Cyril Fitzsimons, which was Cyril's Fish House. Now, that was a crazy joint. I've had some crazies, but that one took the cake. You're talking about 1,000 meals a day. In a New York kitchen. You know what a New York kitchen is?
1,000 meals a day?
Yeah, you know what a New York kitchen is?
I'm guessing small.
Oh man, where you have it's compact, and the line is just good for 2 guys.
Yeah,
and that's why small spaces for me I can operate. It's like playing futsal where
Sure.
you don't have land, but in that little box you have to master your soccer.
Yeah.
It's it's a small line. And everything is there. Compact.
What was this place called?
Cyril's Fish House in Amagansett. And
Okay.
it's an iconic. He passed, and that place is no more, but people remembers.
Yeah.
You want the freshest seafood on the eastern seashore. Cyril's. You stop at Cyril's.
Yeah.
It's there. We did that. Then Cyril said, "Okay, let's go to my hometown, Anguilla, and do some business." And so we went back to Anguilla, and and opened a restaurant. So we were doing summers there, summers in the Hamptons and winters in Anguilla, seeing the same people. And so it is there, and while we're in Anguilla, years later, that I met Eleanor Pearlson from Chilmark, T-Lane Associates. Came on vacation and said, Deon, it would be good. It would be, we would be thrilled to have you on the Vineyard. Those were her very words. And at my invitation, I'd like you and your wife to come up and I'm like, all right, let's go. And so we bought the restaurant in Chilmark. And we did that for 8 years, I think. And
wow. So Amagansett to Anguilla to the Vineyard.
So then we started doing the Vineyard Anguilla. Yeah, but then, it was good doing the Hamptons Anguilla in those years when there was no woman, no child. You're a young buck, you're a young chef, and but then the Anguilla years, now we decided to settle down, family life, and then kids came into the play, and so you're not only packing up, you got into Anguilla and there's everything is imported. Everything is imported. While there's a local flora there, it was not table ready. So you go to the fine dining restaurants back then in those early years, and the fine dining restaurant they're serving Dover sole and salmon and flounder, and they have the steak, the prime rib and the filet mignon and mussels and clams and chicken from Brise, because the French influence, right? So they're doing that. And so we got in there and I saw the need and I'm like, listen, what about the local fish? What, you can't beat it. The fishermen are coming in and, you're looking at their catch. And the snapper, the grouper, the pine, and, and the butterfish and the wahoo and the mahi-mahi, the lobsters and the crayfish. They're coming in and so our restaurant, a seafood restaurant. So I'm cooking everything. Mm-hmm. And that opened their eyes. The only place that you may get a fresh local fish at that time was a local joint, which the local people, that's where they go to get that. But in the fine dining restaurant, you never found it,
You honed your craft all over the place with various cultural influences, and the New York kitchen you mentioned. So you're learning how to operate in small quarters and at a high volume. Yeah. And having been friends with you and a customer of yours, I've picked up on your work ethic in general, but maybe you could tell us more about how you operate, how you look at your business as a business owner.
Being the chef and owner teaches you, if you really want your success, it teaches you to the other side of the business part of it teaches you, because of now you're watching each receipt that comes in, you're watching the hours of the staff, you're watching, you have to keep up with the local ordinances or the Board of Health. So it teaches it, it just comes naturally.
So you're cooking, you're running the cash register.
Mm-hmm. And your eyes are going, I'm talking to you, and you wouldn't even know I'm seeing. And the one thing I've always had open kitchen restaurants. So you can see the dining room. And if you're having a conversation, I'm seeing everything. And then I picked up that from a server that we had. He would see, if there's a Metro D we had once. Yeah. If there's a fork out of place, and he's standing there looking, and he could tell you, hey, that fork on that table over there, you go set it. So my eyes, I'm keen to it. Everything, my eyes are just going. I'm seeing every little thing. They're like, what is it that you... I'm like, go down there. It's, some attention. So.
And you're even doing the dishes and I even sweeping the floor.
So here, so when it comes to, we say, keep it small, keep it all. And when I came to the coming from Deon Circuit Avenue, where I had and West Tisbury and Chilmark, where we had the Metro D and the servers and the linen and the when austerity measures, because of course I think the very year that I lost Circuit Avenue, it's a year that I lost 2 restaurants in a hurricane in Anguilla.
Wow.
So I lost 2 restaurants on either side of the Atlantic. and Circuit Avenue went down. So I woke up one morning, first time in my adult career as a chef and owner, having no restaurant. Nothing. Gone.
What year was this?
That was 2010.
2010, you lost
2010.
your business. Two restaurants in Anguilla.
And one on Martha's Vineyard here and Circuit
and that
Avenue.
one just went out of business.
And
on Circuit Ave?
foreclosure, on the property there, which nothing to do with me. That was just the owner of
The owner of the building.
Of the building. It's
Wow. So that must have been. How did you feel at that point?
that just took the winds from beneath my wings, man. I was crushed. I was crushed, but so I went back and I did some stints in Anguilla. Over the past, I did some stints for some people and some famous people. And so I reached out to their people and they said, okay, come on in New York. And so I took a job and for 6 months, I took a job which paid well, but for 6 months, I didn't see my family.
Wow.
Because it's, you're there working, and at 3 in the morning you say, okay, Rihanna and Drake, they're coming in, or whoever coming in at 3 o'clock with an entourage with 30 people. I've been on my feet since 10.
Yeah.
And at 3 a.m. they're partying, and at 3 a.m. they want to eat, and you're still. And I'm like, nah, this is some young buck who wants the high life and want to be exposed to the hip hop, crowd. Would like that, some young chefs.
Right.
But at my age, I'm like, no. So I said, no, Martha's Vineyard. So I came back home, after 6 months. I'm like, no, money's good, but my family comes first.
Yeah.
And so that's how I ended up at the VFW. So I came, I needed somewhere, if I'm going to have my license, I needed somewhere to hang it.
Yeah.
So I needed a commercial kitchen. There was none to be had, really. So I came, I asked, and the officers of the club said, okay, you're welcome, come on board. And I did my thing and got it inspected, passed, and here we are.
Why don't we get into kind of your life outlook? How do you think about the world? What motivates you? What's most important to you as a person? So
my mantra, I would say, prayer is the soul's desire, uttered or unexpressed, the motion of a hidden fire that trembles in the breast. So I start my day out with prayer.
Say it one more time.
Prayer is a soul's sincere desire, uttered or unexpressed, the motion of a hidden fire that trembles in the breast. And these are the words I grew up listening to my grandmother repeating. So you enforce that, just like I enforce that, on my kid. I would say that to them, listen, start your morning with prayer. Just acknowledge that there's,
Yeah.
there's
and
a
so
God.
Starting the morning with prayer, what does that do for you?
It helps me to be focused. It keeps me balanced. It's my true north. I find my, and then from there, things would come, the issues would come, big issues with things that you'd go, oh man, and I just say, it's just calm, just deal with it as it comes.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Deal with it as it comes. It's no big deal.
Right.
Because, you got to seize the day.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that things are not going to happen. That's your test,
Right, yeah. And you do a lot. You do a lot for the Food Pantry. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the Food Pantry, it's the Food Pantry. That whole idea stems from, every year for the last since I came to the VFW, and coming to the VFW sort of exposed me to the island life. Because when I had the fine dining restaurant, I didn't know who was who.
Yeah.
Because it's just 6 months I'm here. I open the shingles, I do, and I see do the business. October I'm closed, and I'm back in the islands.
Yeah.
So the mindset, I didn't really get to become a part of the community. I became a part of the community when I came to the VFW.
So on Thanksgiving here at the VFW, you, Chef Deon, you cook a ton of food.
Yes.
And it's anybody can come.
Anybody can come. Anybody can. You don't have a meal, you come.
You're a generous guy, and you're doing a great thing here with your restaurant, and you're contributing your culture and your experiences to all of us. And it's not a small thing that you're doing, and I hope you know that I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that I think it's a wonderful thing, and I feel lucky to know you and to learn from you and to enjoy your delicious food. Mm-hmm. But do you have any advice as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, for anybody else that's starting out or trying to accomplish something, based on what you've learned or how you think about things?
What I've discovered, you see, time doesn't wait on any one of us. And as I said, seize the day. But even doing so, this was always my dream. And I'm living my dream. You got to live your dream. Nobody else's. I live my dream. And, sometimes I beat myself up, man. And I'll be like, man, why didn't I do this? Or why didn't I go there? And I'm like, no, it's, those guys who were going down that path, they're not even on that path anymore, but I stayed the course. I stayed true to my dream. So, live the dream. But in saying that, you have to, one should take stock of what you have in hand. Because there's a lot of things that I am pursuing, I'm making sauces, I'm making soup, and every step of the way, obstacles are there. I don't know, are the obstacles there to prevent you from doing it, or are the obstacles there to make you stronger? I don't know. But in every step of the way, in all our disciplines, the obstacles are there. You just have to know how to navigate the water.
Yeah, the trials
and tribulations.
Yeah, and that's back to, you mentioned prayer and kind of getting your head right, whether that's through, self-talk or the poem that you reference your grandmother reciting to you, kind of getting your head right in the morning and setting the course for the day that helps you embrace those obstacles with a productive attitude. And
it's all up to you, man. And the trials are there to enlighten you and make you stronger. It does not come easy. It's if I should walk in my shoes one day and you'll run, you don't know how I'm still standing, But
so rather than hoping for no obstacles, instead practice how to navigate the obstacles in a favorable way.
What do you have in your hand? I always say that. What is it that you have in your hand?
What can you do with what you have?
What can you do with what you have?
Yeah.
Capture it. So and don't rush it.
Right.
It takes time. It takes time. Whatever you have in your hand, man, use it.
Yeah.
To the best of your ability.
I like that. Well, I'm glad to have you on the show, Chef Deon, and I hope we can have coffee again soon. Whether we're recording or not, it's a pleasure always to chat with you. And,
yes, man. Instagram, I think Chef Deon MV. I think that's my handle there on Instagram, and we're busy here at the VFW on Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. Well, come on down if you're in the area. Down. Chef Deon, you're a good man. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for being on the show.
It's a pleasure, sir.
And thanks for hanging out with me this morning. And I hope to see you very soon. And let's go get it.
Yes. So seize the day.
Seize the day.
It's a pleasure.
Right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
That's it. Thanks for tuning in to the Jalapeno Podcast. Thank you, Chef Deon. Thank you, Aaron Mason, for the editing on this episode and all others. And thank you as well to Anave Especial for the music. And catch you next time, everybody.